the font style on that, like the way it's blocked, it looks exactly like the way you edit our video title plate boilerplates, like
Could
thumbnail.
it be?
Hey everybody out there, welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. It's your boys Andy and John, and we are here to chop up some music. So John, please tell myself and the lovely listeners out there what we're going to be sinking our teeth into today.
Well, that's just your opinion. Anyway, so uh, we're going back to the well with Echo and his Bunnymen.
Okay, all right. I am
So we've
jonesing to check it out.
yeah, we've done a few. One, two, three, four, I believe. So this one is called Zimbo. And it is a live version, um, just audio only.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. That was my next
Sadly,
question.
there's no video footage of this. This was at WOMAD Festival in 1982, and it features the uh, um, the drummers of Burundi as
Oh,
well.
okay. That
So
sounds neat and
yeah,
interesting. Um, all right. Well, my interest is piqued. Let me go off and give this thing a listen, and I will come back and divulge to you and everyone else out there my feelings.
Uh, where I go on the Bunnymen, as you know. Bring on the Bunny boys.
Bring them on. Drums are intense. I love that guitar. Ooh. It's like industrial. Ooh, that bass. These resonant whole note bass notes. Great. That scratching guitar. This song has so much like eerie tension, but it also has this kind of psychedelic vibe to it as well. I mean, during that whole part, that sort of verse part, there's like this scratching guitar underneath that kind of just keeps you on edge a little bit while these plodding drums just seem like inevitable and unstoppable, and everything is just moving along at this very interesting, intense pace. Um, yeah, and just the I loved the richness of those bass notes that were really resonant, kind of stretched out a little bit, given like room to breathe. All the while that weird frictious scratching guitar is kind of roiling beneath the surface there. Yeah, I love the sound here. It's definitely atmospheric and moody, and it just feels uneasy. And I'm okay with feeling like that. Nice. Goddamn rhythm section. Drums are intensifying a bit. Oh, that was fabulous, man. God damn, so rhythmic. Everything about that. I loved it. Yeah, I don't know what Zimbo is, but man, by that last refrain where he was repeating, I was ready to jump in like I knew exactly what it meant, and it was the movement that defined my life. Um, no idea what it is, but my God. Uh, Also, I talked I stopped and during it, I kind of highlighted all the instrumental musical bits that really stood out to me. I gotta say, Ian McKellen, the delivery in this and the approach to this, and it's probably because of the psychedelic kind of atmosphere to it. It almost had this like dark psychedelia approach to the vocal performance, which really reminded me of or took me to like Jim Morrison in The Doors, where it was like a little bit. Yeah, it was like look, the psychedelic lens was a little darker in hue and moody. And this sounded like that, and Ian sounded like that when he was singing. There was passion in his voice, especially by the when everything sort of grew and swelled, and we all got into that last refrain of Zimbo, the one where I, almost threw my life away to join the movement. That like the way he was delivering his lines were intense, and really matched the vibe of the music perfectly. Um, that cymbal and other sort of sound that happen kind of hand in hand throughout parts of this was also really intriguing to me. All of it was this. I think I'm going to say this probably is my favorite Echo and the Bunnymen song that we've done on the channel, and there have been some really good ones, but this, I don't know, there was this intensity and mood to this one that for whatever reason really struck a chord with me, and it resonated with me. And yeah, I'd check this one out again. What a fucking awesome performance. I don't blame a single one of those clappers in the audience for giving them their due by the end of this performance, because it just sounded great. Bass, drums, God, all that guitar. The guitar never stood out like as if like in the spotlight in this, and yet everything that it did added so much to the song, but in very subtle kind of brushstroke ways that I just thought was fucking awesome. Awesome stuff. So yeah, let's get back to John and discuss this one, because obviously my interest is piqued.
Ah, Zaza Gabor, he's back. So you've had a listen to Zimbo by Echo and the Burundi Men. What did you think?
Well, you just kind of took the wind out of my sails, because my first note is we're introduced to the band as Echo and the Burundi Boys. Um, Foreshadowing of what's to come, methinks so. So drums soon kick off with this intense beat that's soon joined by this kind of airy and reedy sound akin to some form of woodwind. Um, it's not long before Ian McCulloch starts providing vocals over the top of over top of this rhythmic motif, and he sings the first quatrain flying, and you know I'm not coming down. You're trying, but you know you must soon go down. Which are interesting lyrics packaged in a really intriguing way, but for me, the way they are complemented by this eerie guitar work is what really sets it over the top. Coupled with the pulsating drums, there is this tension in the faint, resonant whining, buzzing, and whirring of the guitar beneath those vocals that adds so much to the verse. So I'm really, really, really digging this. It's almost like I'm getting shades of like dark psychedelia from the kind of sound that they're crafting here. Um, he then repeats this line about how his colors turn to clouds, which really syncs up with, again, this sort of psychedelic feeling. I mean, just those lines, talking about clouds and colors and all that stuff is just very stereotypical psychedelia kind of, motif or vocals or lyrics, I should say. Um, a quick cascading flourish of cymbals follows this, and the song shifts into what I'm guessing is the chorus. The drums continue to stand out during this point with those aforementioned cymbals, but also this very industrial crashing sound that is peppered throughout that I also gravitated toward. I thought that was really cool. Um, this metal work is coupled with some robust and intense rolls on the drums proper as well, and that all makes for some really, really great drum work throughout this portion. And honestly, the song, which I think is kind of the gist, is to shed light on how great the percussions are in this track. Lyrically, it would appear the chorus is just the titular Zimbo, repeated several times. And after the final Zimbo, this really clear and resonant bass whole note fills the air. And after 4 beats, in comes another. And it keeps plodding along as the drums fill the space between each whole note. And throughout all of that is more of this faint winding and grinding of this guitar sound, just scratching and clawing away at parts. And I fucking love it. It's so the guitar was never the main character in this story. It was never in the spotlight, and yet it is so wildly integral to the mood and the atmosphere of the song. And I think that because it's not in the limelight for a lot of the song or any of the song, I think it deserves its roses even more, because to be able to stick out to me so much while not occupying the lead role is speaks to how important it is and how great it sounds. We get more stellar cymbal splashes at the 238 mark, and now the guitar is working on quarter notes as the chorus is again delivered. And the bass after this chorus is really shining, as simple and as straightforward as it is. And soon the drums take on a slightly more fevered pace, and McCulloch again delivers the titular line on repeat. Again, matching the mood of the drums, and kind of at this point it almost I think at the end of my I said I don't know what the fuck Zimbo is, but I'm ready to join the cause, because the way the drums are moving and the way he's delivering his line, I was like, I'm throwing it all away for Zimbo, because it just felt like a call to arms, or like this movement that you needed to get behind. And I, for, it's a good. If you have no idea what the fuck he's saying and you feel that way, it's a it's a pretty powerful delivery that they've employed here. So yeah, I was really kind of almost moved by that, how it all kind of swelled into this portion. Um, so yeah, the song gives way to a very brief ending bit of solo drum work before it ends to rapturous applause, all deserved. This was a very intense bit of psychedelia. The rhythm section absolutely crushed this one. And I must admit that the accent work of the guitar was subtle but wildly important to the soundscape. And as for McCulloch, I really enjoyed his approach to this track. It almost had shades of that kind of fucked up kind of psychedelic sound that Jim Morrison was known for, like dark psychedelic. Again, I want to use that phrase, dark psychedelia. It's not all just let's pop acid and laugh and talk about how bright the colors are. In this trip, the colors are all they're the dark and matte. And that's very interesting and intriguing. So yeah, screamed the Doors to me, even though there was no Ray Manzarek organ work happening or whatever, which is another one of their key sounds. It still had this Morrison effect to it. Loved it. Yeah, this was a stellar performance of a wildly interesting song. So while my attention is captured, please feed it more, because I think this was my favorite song by these guys that we've done. And as you've mentioned, we've done quite a few, but I think this one is the one that really stood out to me the most. And all of them were great to varying degrees. This is, I think, number one. And I think added to that is the live aspect of it too, I should say. So
Yeah,
go on,
and
John,
there's a
tell
bit
me
more
more.
to it than that. So
Okay.
cool, yeah. As I said before, we've already covered Alec and the Bunnymen in episodes of Heads Will Roll, Thorn of Crowns, all that jazz live, and Over the Wall Dutch TV special. So I will add this to the playlist, put a link in below. You can go back, look at all the other episodes. First one talks about the band in great detail. So this, just to recap the personnel you mentioned, the wonderful Will Sargent on lead guitar. I've read his first biography. I'm about to go and bought it, and I've just sat there for months, but I'm going to read his second biography. The first biography starts him as a kid and leads right up to the point where they've just released their first single, and then it stops. The bastard. But I talk about their time when they're forming and playing in Eric's in Liverpool, which I visited just recently. So I'm going to crack on with the second one. It'll be really interesting. But my mate Rob says it's brilliant, so fair enough. So yeah, Will Sargent lead guitar, Ian McCulloch vocals, sometime rhythm guitar, Les Pattinson bass, and the wonderful Pete DeFreitas drums. So this track, interesting enough, first appeared on the EP Shine So Hard back in 1981, from which where they made a film of it, and we watched All That Jazz live, where they had the camouflage gear and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
So it appeared on that, Crocodiles, Zimbo, All That Jazz, and Over the Wall. So we've now listened to 3 out of 4 on this.
The font style on that, like that the way it's blocked, it looks exactly like the way you edit our video title plate boilerplates, like
Could it be?
the white bar and that very stark font. That's great. That's hilarious.
Where did I get that idea from? I don't know. So then the song appeared again on their second album, Heaven Up Here, 1980, also 1981, but it was renamed. So on side 2, track 3, it is known as All My Colors, which is a lyric in the actual song. So we've mentioned this album before,
Yes.
all the guts to the fish there that create all the birds that are coming in. Yeah, wonderful. I was listening to it again today, just walking the dogs as you do, and it was nice because I tend to listen to this version, but the album version is great, and Pete DeFreitas is doing all the heavy lifting with the drums, and it really, really shines. But the guitar sound even more mystical. I think you talk about dark psychedelia. I think of mysticism, which again links in with Jim Morrison and his weird visionary
Hmm.
Lizard King shit and all that. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is there. You're spot on. The Doors reference. And then it appeared third time here on the 12-inch of the Cutter from 1983. And the version you just heard is what appears as the B-side of this 12-inch. So, and again, it's called Zimbo again once more, obviously. So, just a bit about where they performed. It was at WOMAD, World of Music, Arts and Dance. So it's an international arts festival aimed to celebrate all sorts of world music, arts and dance. And it was formed in 1980 by English rock musician Peter Gabriel, friend of the
Mm.
channel. And with Thomas Bruman, Bob Hooton, Mark Kiddell, Stephen Pritchard, Martin Elborn, and Jonathan Arthur. Great respect, but I don't know who any of those guys are, but I've definitely heard of Peter Gabriel. So the first WOMAD festival was in Shepton Mallet, which is a very small village, about a mile or two from Glastonbury.
Okay.
From the festival site, which is Pilton Farm, actually. But yeah, so I know it well. I visited Shepton Mallet many a times in business and pleasure. So the audience saw then Peter Gabriel, Don Cherry, who's an American jazz trumpeter, the Beat, they're English ska bandish, the drummers of Burundi, Akon the Bunnymen, Imrat Khan, who's a Indian sitar player, Prince Nico Mabaja, who's a Cameroonian Nigerian musician, Peter Hamill, who's founding member of Van der Graaf Generator, Simple Minds, Sons of Aqua, a world music collective who have had over 200 members since 1979. The Chieftains, who are an Irish folk band that we talked about in conjunction with the Pogues, and the Akomi National Dance Company, a pioneering African arts company in the UK, and others performed as well. So Gabriel and his company, which founded WOMAD, faced financial ruin from the first festival due to the high costs in the first year. They didn't really know what they're doing. There was a lack of suitable transport to the venue as well, and a lack of publicity. So all those things meant costs, revenue. At the suggestion of their manager, Tony Smith, who also managed, so he managed Gabriel, but he also managed Genesis. Him and Genesis got together and they did a single show under the name Six of the Best at Milton Keynes. And this performance included the Akomi National Dance Company coming on, fusing live African drum on Peter Gabriel's track Room of the Heat. The show rescued the company, the revenue from it, and made it possible for further WOMAD events to take place. And since '82, the WOMAD festivals have traveled all over the world. They brought artists to 27 countries and entertained over 1 million people through the gates. The main UK event was at Reading from 1990 to 2006 before moving to its present home at Carlton Park in Wiltshire. Bit about the other bands. They've got about 8 names. The Royal Drummers of Burundi, commonly known as the Drummers of Burundi, is a percussion ensemble originally from, you guessed it, Burundi. Beginning in the 1960s, the drummers have toured the world. Their performances are part of ceremonies such as births, funerals, and coronations of, forgive me, Mwemi, which is kings. The drums, called Karyenda, are sacred in Burundi and represent the Mwami fertility and regeneration. The Royal Drummers use drums that are made from hollow tree trunks covered with animal skins. In addition to the central drum, which is called an Inkiranya, there are Amash Ako drums, which provide the continual beat, and Ibish Ikisho drums, which follow the rhythm by the Inkiranya. The performance of the Royal Drummers has been the same for centuries, and their techniques and traditions are passed down from father to son, and the members of the ensemble take turns in playing the Inkiranya, dancing, resting, and playing the other drums and rotating the members and their actions throughout the show without any interruptions. At the start of the performance, the drummers enter balancing the heavy drums on their heads, singing and playing. There are some extra members who carry ornamental spears and shields and lead the procession with their dance. They then perform a series of rhythms, some accompanied by song, and they exit the same way, carry the drums on their heads and playing. They have recorded 3 albums at least. Batimbo in 1990, The Drums of Burundi in 92, and Real World in 93. And the Master Drummers of Burundi, again, really weird dates, 1981 LP, 1994 CD. And they've appeared in various things. They've appeared on Joni Mitchell's The Hissing of Summer Lawns in 1975, obviously on this one, Zimbo. And it is claimed they performed on the Def Leppard single Rocket, but this is not true. The drummers were featured in Werner Herzog's film Fitzcarraldo as the drumming of the Bushmen. I don't know if you've seen that film. It's a fucking... Anyway, and they have influenced such artists as Adam and the Ants and Bow Wow Wow. And they were part of the inspiration for Thomas Bruman to organise the WOMAD Festival in '82 in the first place,
Wow.
shaping the burgeoning world music genre. Just to also say, I'm not sure about this, but I don't think they ever played together before or since. They basically got on stage and did that improvised. I mean, the song existed with African Bunnymen. They know the song, but the Burundi drummers just joined in.
And kind of
amazing.
Did their thing. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, lyrics, flying, and you know I'm not coming down. You're trying, but you know you must soon go down. All my colours turn to clouds. All my colours turn to cloud. Zimbo, 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 Zimbo. What do you say when your heart's in pieces? How to play those cards in sequence. That box you gave me burned nicely. That box you gave me burned nicely. Zimbo, 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 Zimbo. Flying down, flying down. All my colours turn to clouds. All my colours turn to cloud. Hey, I'm flowing. Hey, I'm flowing. Zimbo, 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 Zimbo. So, from the book Turquoise Days, The Weird and Wonderful World of Echo and the Bunnymen by Chris Adams, there is an MTV online interview which shed some light on this from 1985. The question was put to Mr. McCulloch, what does Zimbo mean? Mr. McCulloch said, it is an anagram of Mozib, an ancient African word. The question, what does Mozib mean? E. McCulloch, Zimbo. So that's cleared that up. He also, in the same book, there's a quote from 1981 that says, Zimbo is about the loss of someone and the fact that people hold on to things that have already gone. So there you go. There's a couple of fan theories. Number one, and this is about how it was constructed rather than the meaning, but the Zimbo was done by coincidence. They wanted some word to fill the gap between the other parts of the song, and at some moment Ian McCulloch just said Jimbo, Jimbo, referring to a Doors record that had been playing.
Oh, no,
they actually thought it looked quite good to fill the gap, but they changed it from Jimbo to Zimbo because somehow it fitted better. That's unsubstantiated, but it's a story that's I've seen it in a couple of places.
Okay.
And the second one, again, this is this guy's fan theory, is Ian McCulloch was inspired by the poetic nonsense sound lyric of I Zimbra, the opening track of Fear of Music by Talking Heads, 1979. This was similar to Bowie's vocal sound improvisations on the B-side of Low, 1970. Brian Eno was involved with both albums. And Ian McCulloch, as a huge Bowie fan, would certainly have been familiar with Low, if not Talking Heads. So that's his theory there. It might be elements of that and that and that, and put it together. There's quite a few fan theories that they're talking about the cremation of somebody with the lyrics. I don't... They talk about that box you gave me burned nicely, but I mean, that could say anything, isn't it? I think the box you gave me can refer to a gift, as in what you gave me in your experience, love, whatever, and it burned nicely, as in it's gone now. Like everything is cremated because it's in the past. What do you say when your heart's in pieces? How to play those cards in sequence. That box you gave me burned nicely. That box you gave me burned nicely. It's interesting lyrics, but I think it's about, as I say, experiences of moving on from other things. Or my colours turn to clouds as well is another.
Yeah, the clouds and the whole going up. Sort of like one would go up in smoke or float like ash or something like that. Yeah.
But you could also apply these lyrics to some sort of mystic, tribal sort of ceremony.
Oh,
quite easily. And with the Burundi drums,
I was
it
gonna say that.
becomes, you can say, hypnotic and just
Yeah.
thoroughly. You can see why they use it for certain ceremonies because it just gets to you. I mean, it
Mhm.
really does. So I think this is a great live performance. It's a really cool song. The album is version is fantastic, and as I say, the guitars are even more sort of mystical because they've really got a hold of the production. You know, they do a great
Mhm.
job on it. Um, I don't know if it's my favorite track off the album, but it's in the top two. Um, but uh, but yeah, but this version I think just has an extra element to it being live and being with the Burundi drummers as well. I think just has this amazing sound. I've always been a sucker for it, hence my fondness for Mr. Ant
Yeah.
and his sound that he grabbed from it. But yeah, so I thought this was a cool little addition. Fairly early in their career, to be fair, second album in. But yeah, I think it's a really good, and the WOMAD stuff's really interesting as well.
Without question, yeah. This whole thing was really interesting and a fun discussion, and to sit back here and listen to you fill in some of the gaps on this.
Yeah. It's interesting how you picked up on Doors straight away because the sound of them, I wouldn't say necessarily reminds you of the Doors completely, but attitude-wise, it does. I think his persona and the way he
Yeah.
delivers and sings
There
really
you
does.
go.
We said this before with Crown of Thorns as well. Um, and they even went on to cover a Doors song, People Are Strange, and did a great job of it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
it's
the,
it's cer-
the
it's
real
certainly
correlation between two bands.
it's certainly not about for me. It wasn't about the music as much as it was about his approach. Which I
Yeah,
guess if you want to say, then his vocals are musical, well, of course, then in that case, okay, that aspect of the music then
yeah,
is strictly just the vocal delivery and just sort of the persona and approach that he brought to the song screamed to me weirdo, dark Jim Morrison, which is, the
yeah,
perfect kind of weirdo, but that
yeah,
definitely had shades of that without question.
yeah, definitely. And I'm huge fans of both. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Excellent. All right, I shall wrap things up.
Cool.
Thanks for listening, Sandy. Glad
Thank
you
you.
enjoyed it. Folks out there, tell us what you think. Perhaps you know where we can find the Zimbo and what to do with him when we do. Um, please, if you like this, do hit the like button, drop some comments, let us know what you think. Um, how you like your Burundis, with or without sugar. Anything like that, please. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do.
Come
And you can get more of this 5 days a week. Imagine. We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel. So hop on board. Toot toot. Um, that being said, thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see all of you in the next episode of The Audiophiles.
Hey, we'll see you later, guys.